24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Many industries face around-the-clock operations. If you work in such an industry, you probably work some type of variable around-the-clock schedule, and you're one of nearly 50 million workers who do. The professionals who work these schedules can attest to their unique lifestyle.
It's difficult. You're both working at different hours. And if you rotate, you might catch each other coming and going, or you might. Or 3 days, possibly.
I would think that everybody that deals with this kind of lifestyle would have to be independent, because if there's an event and he's not there, you go by yourself.
It's like, don't plan anything for me on this weekend. If you see me, you see me. If you don't, you know, I'm at home sleeping probably.
Well, it's very important to have the support of your family and friends, because they have to pick up more of the slack than you can.
Both have to be committed to it, and you really have to have good lines of communication. I think that helps make it work.
Shift work is more than just a work schedule. It's a lifestyle. It requires adjustments in the way we sleep and eat, and in our family and social life. This program is designed to help you make informed choices about your lifestyle. We'll cover information and strategies regarding sleep, body rhythms, eating habits, and family social interactions. The goal, an improved quality of life and a healthier you, both on and off the job. In all shift work-related industries, conflicts arise from workers continually attempting to live an 8-to-5 daytime lifestyle, rather than living a lifestyle compatible with their work schedules. People continue living this daytime lifestyle because until recently, little or no educational material had been designed specifically for an alternate type of lifestyle for shift workers. Few examples exist for raising a family and having an active social life when you work such a schedule. But relying on traditional daytime patterns can result in conflicts that affect your sleep, mood, and energy, your health and productivity at work. The majority of these things are under your control and are relatively independent of your work schedule itself. Some of you already practice appropriate strategies, but almost everyone can improve their quality of life if they know what to do and why they're doing it. Regardless of your age, many of your own strategies seem to work okay. However, at a younger age, there are tendencies to ignore basic body cues, which may cause long-term physical problems.
You end up taking a lot of naps. You don't get used to an entire 8 hours, 6 hours, whatever, of sleeping. You just kind of play it day by day, you know. And there are times where you're so messed up you don't know, you know, is this my time I'm supposed to be asleep? 'Cause I can lay down, and it depends on how much caffeine and nicotine I've got in my body, you know, whether I'll be able to sleep for 6 hours in a row or not, you know.
Well, if I got off of the night shift and went home and went to bed right away, I was fine. But what I tried to do was get off the night shift, go get my daughter, be home with her so she could get ready for school in her own environment, and then go ahead and take her off to school in the morning. But by that time, I'd already been up for a couple of hours, and sleep wasn't easy after that.
To formulate effective long-term lifestyle strategies, you need a better understanding of body rhythms and body clocks. We're concerned with those rhythms operating on a 24-hour cycle. These are called circadian rhythms. There are between 70 and 100 of these daily rhythms which govern the timing of all important body processes. These daily rhythms tell us when to be active, when to rest, and when to eat. They also regulate many processes we're unaware of, like body temperature, kidney function, and hormone secretions. Every body function has its own daily rhythm, but all the body processes must coordinate with one another for the body to function at peak mental and physical levels. Given a regular daytime schedule, our body clocks synchronize with one another and with external events, such as day, night, meal times, activities, and rest periods. The daily body temperature cycle is the best measure of our circadian rhythms. This cycle corresponds to what's happening to us physically and metabolically. Memory, physical strength, reaction time, digestion, mood, and alertness are all determined on a day-to-day basis by this cycle. At the low point, usually 3 to 6 a.m., impairment of mental and physical functions is greatest, even for those who've had their full quota of sleep. For those who are sleep deprived, the effects are greatly magnified and can readily lead to misperceptions, mistakes, and accidents. For someone who works days and sleeps nights, the body clock starts raising body temperature just before wake-up time and signals the body to wake up. Body temperature rises throughout the day, and with it, we reach a point of peak efficiency. At that point, we are most alert. Digestion is working well, physical strength is at a high point, reaction times are fastest. We're able to function best mentally, and our judgment is good. Later, an hour or two before bedtime, body temperature begins to drop and the body begins to slow down. As we sleep, other body processes continue to slow down. For example, digestion slows down and stops during the night. Blood flow to the large skeletal muscles decreases since we're not physically active. The body shuts down a number of day-related processes and activates sleep-related processes.
Physically, I always felt real cold at that time of night. We accused the building maintenance people of dropping the temperature.
Usually around 3, 4 o'clock, your body, you kind of feel a little fatigue. But after about 5, 6 o'clock, you start to wake up again. You know, you just got that short period of time where you feel a little fatigue.
What happens when someone who normally sleeps at night has to stay up all night? Well, the body will still go into its nighttime phase. As the body temperature drops to its 3 to 6 a.m. low point, physical strength, the ability to think clearly, reaction times, judgment, concentration, and memory all can be impaired. Consequently, there are more safety risks involved and more serious mistakes are made during this time frame. Now, what do you suppose happens when we stay up all night, then go home and try to go to sleep? As the temperature cycle continues, temperature rises, which indicates that body metabolism is shifting into the day mode. We will have trouble falling asleep and staying asleep. In fact, the later we go to bed during the day, the less sleep we're likely to get, because body temperature reaches a level incompatible with sleep. Have you ever wondered why at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning you could be so desperately sleepy, and yet by the time you get to bed at 8 or 9 a.m., you feel wide awake? Doesn't this run opposite to what we believe about sleep, which is the longer you stay awake, the sleepier you become? Well, that's simply not the case, because in the short term, your body enters its daytime phase even though you haven't slept. You may also find yourself awake during the only opportunity you have to sleep prior to work. Because it takes so long for the body to adjust to changes in behavior patterns, the daily circadian cycle virtually never adjusts for people with irregular and non-routine work schedules. This can lead to chronic fatigue. Actually, it's a state of chronic jet lag where the body clocks and rhythms are in one time zone and the work-rest patterns and activities are in another. Getting adequate sleep and rest before working at night will improve your ability to function physically and mentally during the 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. period.
Usually happens about 4, although over the years I've learned to don't let it happen. In other words, be rested when I get here, so I don't, well, that's terrible to suffer through that last 2 hours trying to just barely keep awake, and you're doing this and getting whiplash. I just don't want to do that. I just feel too bad.
I did feel times that my body was telling me that things wasn't working right during these time periods. It was times that you just wanted to crawl under any cabinet and go to sleep if nobody was watching you, but you couldn't do that.
Almost 80% of night workers complain of poor quality, inadequate sleep. Attaining adequate amounts of good quality daytime sleep requires special preparation and effort. Performing pre-sleep rituals, such as taking a warm shower and reading, will help you wind down and signal your body to prepare for sleep, regardless of the time of day. In the daytime, the earlier you go to bed, the better. As your body temperature increases during the day, it reaches a point incompatible with sleep. The biggest complaint of day sleepers is awakening too soon and being unable to return to sleep. The daytime sleep environment should be as much like night as possible. Your sleep room should be dark and quiet. Use shades or aluminum foil to block out light, or perhaps arrange a room specifically for daytime sleep. Mask daytime sounds by operating a fan or air conditioner. A room temperature between 65 and 68 degrees may help retard the daytime increase in body temperature and extend your daytime sleep. Generally, it's best to sleep in one long sleep period. Irregular napping is a poor sleep strategy and should be reserved for times when you have no choice. Obtaining adequate amounts of good quality sleep is probably the most important thing you can do for yourself.
My wife really don't want to be around me when I get real tired because she says I get real miserable, and I do.
It takes a few days of him not getting regular rest, and then he starts to get grouchy, snappy, and I know that's my cue to leave him alone.
Sleep is not a uniform state. Sleep consists of several stages which have different functions for your body, mood, and mental capacity. At sleep stage 1, we become unconscious and are no longer aware of the activities around us. Being unconscious, however, is not the equivalent of good quality sleep. 8 hours of sleeping in stages 1 and 2 would make you feel as if you hadn't slept at all. From a physical standpoint, the most important stage of sleep is deep or delta sleep. It's during this stage that a growth hormone is secreted, which is necessary for your muscles and skeletal system. With inadequate amounts of deep sleep, we gradually become more fatigued, react more slowly, become physically weaker, and ultimately develop body aches and pains. Another vitally important stage of sleep, completely different from all others, is called rapid eye movement, or REM sleep. During this stage, which occurs about every 90 minutes, we dream. REM sleep is extremely important for proper mood and mental functioning. With inadequate REM sleep, we wake feeling unrefreshed, irritable, and depressed. We have more difficulty learning, remembering, and concentrating. Getting from one sleep stage to another is a gradual slowing down and transition process. If you're disturbed while sleeping, you essentially start over again. Repeated disturbances will cause your sleep to restart from lighter stages of sleep rather than descend into deeper and more important stages of REM and deep sleep.
They almost need to have a neighborhood where it's just a shift people working, you know, get a whole big community of people together, and from 9 in the morning until 5 at night. They can't run any lawn mowers or no telephone calls, things like that, you know.
It's easy for me to get my daughter in tune to, okay, the reason why I'm not here is because I'm going to be sleeping for a while. I'll call you when I'm up and let you know I'm coming over to get you. But all their friends, they don't understand that because a lot of their parents don't work shifts, and they'll be calling the house quite a bit. So we finally got a phone installed that had an off switch on the ringer.
My whole family, barring none, know that they do not attempt to get a hold of me between 9 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. I have an answering machine. The phone gets turned off. It takes care of it. I can't hear the doorbell. If there's an emergency, they have to come to my house with a key. They know who to contact to do that. There's a certain time you have to reserve to sleep.
Without proper strategies, day sleepers may lose as much as half of REM sleep and up to that much deep sleep as well. Daytime sleepers also get less sleep, up to 3 hours less than nighttime sleepers. On a day-to-day basis, you may not notice the effects of poor quality sleep, but in the long run, it can affect your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. This impairment is magnified during that 3 to 6 a.m. period when the body's natural sleepiness affects things like judgment, perception, and reaction times. However, most people do not recognize their own degree of impairment, and because of that are more susceptible to making mistakes. As you get older, it's more difficult to stay awake all night and more difficult to sleep during the day. So it's important to develop consistently good sleep habits and strategies as early as possible.
It's hard, but my husband is there to help a lot. He's there, he takes care of the kids. If I'm tired, he just lets me go to bed. He really helps with the housework, he helps with the kids. He has been a big benefit of me working nights to coping with it.
For good daytime sleep, you need cooperation from family and friends. It's important to communicate your needs and for them to communicate theirs. Your spouse may not understand the added responsibilities. Your children may not understand why you don't have time for them.
Cindy used to come home in the morning and, get the kids out of bed, get them ready for school, for the day, breakfast, everything. And it was just too much. I could tell in her mood swings.
But we made the decision that it's much better for me to get my sleep, because if I don't get my sleep, then I'm no good for the kids. And if I'm not in a happy mood, then they're not going to be in a happy mood.
And so I think now the way we're working it, it's hard for me. It's good for me. I've learned just how much work it is. So I think it's been good for both of us, and I can see that she's a lot more rested and that she's in a better mood.
When he says that he's tired, I just need to accept that rather than give him a hard time. A lot of times I try to let him rest at night, but I'm demanding. I'm just as bad as the kids are. I want the attention too, just as much as they do, A lot of times he tells me that I don't understand. I need to try to understand more what he's going through.
Over 80% of workers on shifts express concerns about the impact on their family and social life. Replacing quantity time with quality time requires commitment and some innovative thinking.
We rethink how we do things because we only get to see each other 2 days a week. We do a lot of talking on the phone and writing of notes, and I think the people that both work the same shift take it for granted the time they have together, and since we don't have that time, we really have to make sure the time we do have together is quality time.
I think that the kids look at this as a normal lifestyle too. They haven't known anything else. And I guess I just try to make up when he doesn't come. I try to make up for it all, but they don't think any less of him. I think they respect him because he has a job that he has to do and they know it, and that's the way we've always approached it.
Working shifts often requires eating at night or during the early morning hours, a time when the stomach and digestive system are at rest. Eating the wrong kinds of food and irregular eating habits make shift workers highly susceptible to stomach and digestive problems. It's not that you shouldn't eat during the night, it's just that you need to be careful what you eat.
You can't eat a lot of fatty foods. You just can't, because your body can't digest it right.
I've probably put on about 50 pounds since I started working shifts. And that's because we constantly eat at night. We constantly eat during the day. It's just, it's always the wrong stuff.
Regardless of what time you get up, breakfast is probably the most important meal of your day. Eating soon after waking helps reset your body clock and gets you started regardless of what time the clock says. Breakfast should include protein, although heavier proteins should only be eaten if you have several hours before work. Remember, the types of foods you eat will vary depending on when you eat them. Eat heavier foods during the day and early evening hours when you can best digest them. And eat lighter, easier to digest foods during work and as the night progresses. Regardless of what hours you work, try to maintain consistent meal times. Stop caffeine at least 4 hours prior to bedtime, and do not eat a meal high in protein or fat within several hours of bedtime. Eating right is important in maintaining good health for anyone, but even more so when you work shifts. The same can be said for getting regular exercise.
Diane got me going on the running, and we run in all the area runs and all that, and we always push Jeremy in the baby jogger. And
one of the things that I've done, and I don't do it every day, but I have a friend that we go for a walk, and usually if we have time, we'll walk 3.5, 4 miles before I come to work. One of the things, it starts my system going, and I feel better when I come to work.
Irregular work schedules can be difficult. However, there are many things you have control over that can make them easier. Many shift workers blame all their problems on their schedule. With increased effort to communicate, plan, and negotiate, almost all of these problems will be minimized. You have control over how you sleep, what you eat, when you eat, and how you deal with your family and friends. All these have a significant impact on your mood, your health, and your safety. By making informed choices about your lifestyle, you're taking a giant step toward a healthier, happier you, both on and off the job.